Hey everyone, welcome to lesson 2, which is going to be powers and order of operations. So today's learning goals will be, we have two. The first one is you will know the power, how to evaluate powers and exponents without using a calculator. So you'll be using multiplication, and you'll know how to use PEDMAS or BEDMAS, whichever one you learned it as, to solve equations. So we're going to talk about order of operations today. So we're starting off with part A, which is powers and exponents, right? If I was to give you something like this, you would read it as 2 to the power of 7, right? Or 2 to the exponent 7. You can call it whichever way you want. I usually say power of 7. It just really depends on which language you use. It means the same thing. Right, and in this situation, this entire thing, so I'm just going to put a box around the entire thing. This entire thing is the term, right? So this entire thing, oops. This entire thing is the term, right? Our little 7 up here is the exponent or power, right? And then in green over here is our base. So the 2 is the base. So when you look at an exponent, what it's actually saying, and when you look at 5 to the exponent of 8, it basically just means you're multiplying 5, which is the base, by itself 8 times. So by the amount of times of the exponent. So if you were to look at 5 exponent 8, you have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, 8 times. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if you counted the number of 5s. Okay? So knowing that, so I'm just going to write that in actually. So you're saying 5 times 5 itself, 8 times. Right? So now if I have something like 4 to the power of 2, I have 4 multiplied by 4 2 times because that was my power. So 4 times 4 is just going to be 16. So try doing B and C on your own. Actually, try doing all of these on your own. Before you go and do that, I'm actually just going to do the 1 in brackets here, right? And the reason I'm going to do that is if you have a -5 in brackets, you need to make sure that you write it as -5 times -5, because it actually means something very different. This exponent is being applied to the entire term inside. So it's going to be -5 times -5, which is going to give me positive 25, right? Because remember from yesterday's lesson, a negative times a negative is going to give us a positive. So try doing C, D, E, and F on your own. Just pay special attention to these over here, right? And we'll take them up together. So just pause this video and go ahead and do that. All right, welcome back. So we're going to do 2 to the power of 5 now. So if I'm going to do 2 to the power of 5, I know I'm going to multiply 2 by itself 5 times. So I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So I'm just going to go in here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2's. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is going to be 8. Times 2 is going to be 16. Times 2 is going to be 32. Okay, so I'm just going to write that out for us so that we can know how to do this. You're always going to multiply the first two numbers together. 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm left with multiplied by 2 times 2 times 2. And you can't just go ahead and, do 2 times 2 here. And you need to do it in the order that it's in. Right, so then I have 4 times 2, which is 8. Oops. 8 times 2, right? So I did 4 times 2 and I changed that to 8 times 2, and then I'm left with 2. And then I'm going to do 8 times 2, which is going to be 16 times 2. So here, I took the 4 times, right? 16 times 2, which is going to be 32. Right? You don't have to write all of this out. I'm just doing it so that you know where I got that number from. Cool? Okay. Moving forward, we're going to go on to -3 times 4. So we have a negative 3 in brackets, so we got to always put this in brackets. Negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. So let's do the first one. Negative 3 times negative 3 is going to give me positive 9. I'm left over with negative 3 and negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and do my first one again. Negative 9 times positive 9 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 27 times negative 3. And then I'm just going to do negative 27 times negative 3 is going to give me positive 81. And that's going to be my answer. Okay. Moving back over here, we have negative 3 squared. Because this negative is not in the bracket, we're actually going to leave it outside. This squared is only applied to the positive 3. So you have 3 times 3. We're going to write this as an invisible negative 1. Okay, so now I have negative 1 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 3 times 3. So then I'm left with negative 3 times 3 is going to give me negative 9. The reason we do not do negative 3 is because this isn't in a bracket, so it doesn't count. Okay? So check. If that's what you did here, then that might have been an issue. So let's do negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2 times 2, because I just took this, times 2 times 2 times 2. Negative 2 times 2 is going to give me negative 4. And I always go in and put my equal signs in after, but you should probably put them in as you go. 2, 2. Right, then I'm left with negative 4 times 2. Negative 4 times 2 is going to give me negative 8. Negative 8 times 2 is going to give me negative 16. And that's my answer. Okay. So I'm going to have you try and do these all by yourself. I'm going to put the solutions in here, but this is practice. So I want you to try doing it by yourself so that you know how to do them, right? And then you can just come back and watch this video and take it up. So I won't go in as depth. I'll just put the answers in so that you can see the answers, okay? All right. So hopefully you pause this video and you're just coming back. I'm going to do these in pink, right? These are practice problems. So we're going to do negative 2 to the power of 4. I see this negative outside and I know it's not a part of it, so I'm going to put the negative outside. And I'm going to say, okay, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? And I'm just going to do what that is, so it's going to be negative 16. Okay? Then I know I'm having this inside, right? So there's negative 2 inside the bracket. So I know it's going to be negative 2 times negative 2. Remember that little dot just means times because I don't like to write x's. Times negative 2. Oops, it's only 3. My bad. Right, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 because it's to the power of 3. Negative 2 times 2 is going to be positive 4 times negative 2 is going to give me negative 8. And that's my answer. Now I have negative 4 times negative 4 because it's negative 4 as a base to the power of 2. Negative 4 times negative 4 is just positive 16. Right? Here I have negative 1 on the outside multiplied by 2 times 2 times 2 because it's not in a bracket, so the 2 is the base, not the negative 2. Right? So then I have negative 1 times 2 is just negative 2 times 2 is 4, negative 4, sorry. And then negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So I'm left with negative 8. Okay. Here I have 4 times negative 6 squared. So I know it's going to be 4 times negative 6 times negative 6. you always do the exponent first. So don't do 4 times negative 6 right off the bat. You have to do the exponent first. So you have 4 times 36 is equal to 144. You must do the squared first. That's from order of operations. So do exponent first, always. Okay? So then I have negative 3 squared times negative 2 cubed. So let's do our negative 1 times, and I'm just going to put this in a bracket because that's what we got to do first, right? Our negative 1 times 3 times 3, right? And then we have that multiplied by our negative 2, and it's going to be in brackets, negative 2 times negative 2. So let's do what's inside this bracket first. We're going to do negative 1 times 3 is negative 3 times 3 is 9. So this will be negative 9, right? Then we have negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4 times negative 2, which will be negative 8, right? And now that those two brackets are done, I can just multiply those two together. Negative 8 times negative 9 is going to give me 72. Okay? Now, when you have something like this, it's saying 1 over 3 multiplied by 1 over 3 multiplied by 1 over 3. Right? That dot just means multiplied by. So I know when I'm multiplying fractions, I'm going to take the top, multiply all the tops together, multiply all the bottoms together. Right? Because when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply all the tops together, multiply all the bottoms. So 1 times 1 times 1 is just going to be 1. 3 times 3 times 3 is going to be 27. And that is my answer. 1 over 27. Same thing here. You're going to do 2 cubed and 5 cubed. So you're going to do 2 over 5 multiplied by 2 over 5 multiplied by 2 over 5. Right? And when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply all the tops. So 2 times 2 times 2. Multiply all the bottoms. All right? 8 over 125. And we're actually going to go over and redo this fraction stuff because it seems to be the one thing that everybody struggles with in grade 9 is multiplying, dividing, and adding fractions. So we'll go over that again as well. But this is just a quick refresher. And then last but not least, when you have something like negative 1 and a half to the power of 3, you have to, in this situation, first change this negative 1 and a half to an improper fraction. How you can do that is you can take this negative 1, multiply it by the denominator, and add the numerator. So I'm going to do negative 1. You're going to do just positive 1. So just take the 1. 1 times 2 is going to give me 2, right? Plus 1 is going to give me 3. And you just put the negative back in, so this becomes negative 2 over 3 cubed. Okay? So then you're going to do negative 3 over 2 multiplied by negative 3 over 2 multiplied by negative 3 over 2. And if you remember how to multiply fractions, is you're going to do negative 3 times, I'm going to put that in brackets, negative 3, just good form to always keep stuff in brackets, 2 times 2 times 2. So negative 3 times negative 3 is going to be positive 9 times negative 3 will be negative 27 divided by 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And I'm just going to go in and fix that. Make it look nicer. Okay. And those are our answers. Moving on, we're going to do part B, which is order of operations, or as we call BEDMAS. Some of you might actually call this PEDMAS, right? The P and the B basically just stand for either parentheses or brackets. It just depends on how you learned it. It means the same thing. Okay? So what does BEDMAS actually stand for? So I'm just going to write out BEDMAS here in this beautiful color. And I'm going to write it like this. because that matters. So the B stands for brackets. Right? Some people write that as parentheses. The E, sorry, I'm just going to write it out so it looks a little bit better. B, hopefully I can fit things better this way. A, S. All right, so you have brackets, right? Then you have exponents. Then here you have either division or multiplication, whichever one comes first. So if you divide before you multiply, you divide before you multiply. If there's multiplication before division, you do that. And then last but not least, here you have addition and subtraction, whichever one comes first. If you subtract first, you subtract. If addition comes first, you add. What order of operations basically means is when you're given a question, you have to do whatever's in the brackets first. Then you have to do whatever is the exponent second. Then you have to either divide or multiply, and the last thing you should do is add or subtract. This is really important. And the reason that this is really important is because if you do not do it this way, you will get a different number. So if you've ever seen on the internet, there's like those, how would you solve this? That's why. Because if you do not follow BEDMAS, right, you will get the wrong answer. So please, please, please always follow BEDMAS. Always use this. Always do brackets first. Always do the exponents. Then do the division or multiplication. Then do the addition and subtraction. And I'll go through this. So a warm-up that I want you to do is pause this video and go in and try to make these true by putting in brackets. And we'll go put in brackets when it's true. Okay, now that you're back. So if I was just going to do this without putting in brackets, so I'm just going to ignore, we're going to ignore the 3 for now. The first thing I would have to do is always -8 divided by 4. So -8 divided by 4 would give me -2. Then I would go and put -3, 1, -1. Then I would just do -1 minus 3, -1 minus 3 minus 2, which would give me -6. Now, we're looking for something that'll make it -3. If I go here and I actually put brackets around these terms first, I have to do what's inside that bracket first. So I'll be left with -1 minus 3 minus 8, which will give me -12. And it's in brackets, divided by 4. So I can just do that. -12 divided by 4 is going to give me -3. Therefore, you need to put the brackets there. And like at the end, you should just write -3 equals -3. Right? Just to say that it's a therefore statement. Now here, before I do anything, if I'm just going to do this without brackets, when I go to solve this, I'm going to do 6 squared first because there's no brackets. So let's do 6 squared first. 6 squared is going to give me 36, right? So I'm just going to write that in. 36 minus, I have to do this first as well. 10 divided by 20, which is going to give me 20 divided by 2, which is going to give me 10, minus 6 equals x, right? It's not going to equal 2. So I'm going to do 36 minus 10 minus 6. So let's do that. 36 minus 10 is 26. Minus 6 is going to give me 20. 20 does not equal 2. That means that in order for this statement to be true, I got to do something here that brackets go somewhere. I'm just going to start off and put brackets around the first 2 numbers because they just look promising, right? So now I have 6 squared, which is going to give me 36, minus 20, divided by 2, minus 6, right, equals 2. And we're going to try to make sure that that's correct. So now let's do that. 36 minus 20 is just going to give me 16, divided by 2, minus 6. So let's do that. 16 divided by 2 I know is 8, minus 6. You can't do 2 minus 6 because you have to do the division first. So 8 minus 6 is 2. So 2 equals 2, so I know that this is true. Okay. So let's evaluate the following. Remember when I said that you're marked on communication, thinking, and application? See, this is where mathematical form becomes important. Mathematical form is basically 1 equal sign per line, 2 using BEDMAS. So let's do that. Okay? So let's go in here, and the first thing we should do is 8 plus negative 2 times 3. I know from BEDMAS I'm going to do my multiplication first. I'm just going to set this equals 8 plus, I'm just going to zoom in a little. It's going to be 8 plus 2 times, negative 2 times negative 3 is going to give me positive 6, right? Equals 14. Notice how I only have one equal sign? If I'd written equals 14 here, that would have been wrong. That's bad form. I do it sometimes. You shouldn't on a test, but you know, I understand if you do sometimes. Okay, negative 2 plus negative 4 to the power of 2. In BEDMAS, we always do exponents. So I'm just going to write a little BEDMAS sign here so we know which one we're following always. Right? We have exponents, so we got to do that first. So we'll leave the negative 2 alone for now. We'll leave the plus alone for now. Let's do the exponent. Negative 4 times negative 4 is just going to give me positive 16. I'm just going to go in, put that in. Oops. And I want to do this all in orange. Plus 16 equals negative 2 plus 16 is just going to be positive 14 as well. Okay. So you try doing C and D on your own now, and then we'll take them up together. So just pause this video, try doing it on your own, and then we can take it up together. Okay? All right. So welcome back. How you always do this. So if you're given a fraction, pretend like there's always invisible brackets on the numerator and the denominator. So you always have to do the numerator first and always have to do the denominator first. Okay, so we do 10 minus 18 because it's in brackets. That's going to be negative 8 divided by the 6 minus negative 12. This is a minus and a minus, so it turns into a positive. So we have 6 plus 12, right? Negative 8 just stays as negative 8. We're going to do the 6 plus 12, which is going to give me 18, right? And then I can reduce that even further. I can divide both by 2 to give me negative 4 over 9, right? You're just going to make the equivalent fraction. And if you don't remember how to do equivalent fractions, please go check that out. So you can type in to Google or YouTube how to find equivalent fractions. This should be grade 6 math. Okay, so if you're still a little bit confused about that, you can just type this in. I'll also post a video from Khan's Academy. All right. So try doing this one on your own, knowing what you know now. Right, and then I'll take it up with you. So you know that you have the denominator and the numerator. They're going to be in brackets. So let's do the brackets first. We're going to do negative 12 times 8, which is going to give us negative 96, divided by negative 14 times negative 10 is going to give us positive 140. Right? I know that if I really wanted to, I could reduce this. So I'm going to say, okay, 96 divided by what will work? Can I divide both by 4? So let's try that. Negative 96 divided by 4 is going to give me negative 24. Right? So I'm just going to go in here and say divide both by 4. Right? Negative 24, 140 divided by 4 is going to give me 35. And I don't think I can reduce those anymore. So that's my answer. Always put your answer in the most reduced form. All right, and then moving on, first things first, brackets. So 2, I'm just going to put that in here, 5 minus 8, which is going to give me negative 3, cubed minus 15. Then, after you do brackets, exponents. Do we have an exponent? Yeah, the negative 3 cubed. So we're going to do negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 minus, so I'm just going to put that back in a bigger bracket. So negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 27 times 2 minus 15. So we're done brackets, we're done exponents. Is there division or multiplication that we need to do here? Yeah, we got to do negative 27 times 2. That's going to give me negative 54. Minus 15. Now, there's an addition or subtraction left over, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do negative 54 minus 15, which is going to give me negative 69. So with that same logic, try doing this one. And we'll take it up. All right, welcome back. So we're going to try 16 minus 3 times 2 plus 3 to the power of 2 times 2. So let's do BEDMAS again. And let's just start off with brackets. Do we have any brackets here? No, so we don't need to worry about B. Do we have exponents? Yeah, we need to do that first. So let's go in and do that first. So I'm just going to rewrite this as 16. 16 minus 3, and we're going to leave it. We're going to leave the 3 times 2 in there as 3 times 2. We're not going to touch anything else yet. Let's just do the exponents first. 3 squared is just going to be 3 times 3, which is going to be 9 times 2. We're going to leave the 16. So we're done exponents. We're done. Division. Doesn't seem to be any division. Multiplication. Yeah, there's 3 times 2. So I'm just going to go in here. 3 times 2, right? 9 times 2. We can't be adding yet. We got to do the division first. So let's do the division first. 3 times 2 is going to be 6. 9 times 2 is going to be plus 18. Now we're just left with addition and subtraction. We're going to do 16 minus 6 is going to be 10 plus 18 is going to give me, so I'm just going to write that in, 10 plus 18. You don't even need to write the step in. I'm just writing it in. Plus 28. And that's my answer. Positive 28. All right. So this is our exit ticket for today. What you're going to be doing here is you're actually going to solve this problem and you're going to submit it by 1 p.m. on the day that this lesson is taught. Okay? Please post it to the assignment page as a PDF. So under your assignment, you will actually have this lesson, this assignment as, this as a lesson. This is an example of the first thing you're going to hand in from homework. It's not going to be marked, but I will be checking for completion. Okay? So you're going to try to do G and H on your own, and we will take this up in class tomorrow or the day after, on Monday.